I find automation fascinating, and RPA is one of the trending topics nowadays. But what is RPA and why do we keep hearing about it? I brought an RPA expert to tell us more.
Thank you so much, Valentin, for having me on your channel. My name is Thomas and I'm an RPA expert and UiPath most valuable professional. Today I will tell you why you keep hearing about RPA, and we're going to build the first bot together with UiPath. Make sure to watch this video till the end because I'm going to give away my UiPath cheat sheet. But first, what is RPA?
So what's this technology that Valentin and me are so excited about? Let's see RPA in action. John is employed by a large corporation. Every day he receives an Excel file from his manager with new hires. John's task is to onboard these colleagues in a web application. Let's take a look at John's work. He opens the Excel file and starts keying over these records. The employee number, the name of the employee, the address, etc. This task is quite mundane and repetitive, and John starts to lose the motivation to go to work. Now let's see how a robot would perform this job. John starts the robot. It opens the browser with the web application and starts adding the records to the system. As you can see, the robot is way faster than John and will be able to add thousands of records to the system every single day. This way, John can focus on new hires who need help with onboarding, or perform other tasks which add value to the company and its clients. This is a very simple robot, though it already provides lots of value to John. In the next section, you will build this robot yourself. You will see how easy RPA is. You've already learned that RPA has nothing to do with physical robots, which is a very common misconception. Let's see what RPA stands for. Robotic Process Automation is a technology to automate business processes by mimicking human behavior. You will quickly realize that understanding the business process you automate is just as important as the technical aspect. In this video, we will focus mainly on the technology. There are 4 big vendors of RPA software: Automation Anywhere, Microsoft, Blue Prism, and UiPath. UiPath is the most popular one and the one with the best career perspectives. They also offer a free community edition for education purposes. That's why, in this tutorial, we will use UiPath to build a robot. Let's start with the installation of UiPath Studio, in which we build the robot. If you have any questions about the installation process, please post them in the comments so we can help you. While you can use some functionalities of UiPath on Mac or Linux systems, the Studio is only available on Windows. If you want to build automations on Mac or Linux, please refer to my UiPath Studio web tutorial. Navigate to cloud.uipath.com. If you don't have an account yet, click sign up. Now choose continue with email or one of the other options. Provide your email and password and click continue. Now click on the link in the email you just received in order to activate your account. After activation, navigate back to cloud.uipath.com. Click create your organization. Fill in your first name, last name and country of residence. Now fill in the organization you are working for, or just fill not applicable. UiPath will now take some time to create your account, after which you will end up in this screen. Click download UiPath Studio. After the download is complete, click on the installer to run it. The installation wizard will now open. You can go for the quick installation, accept the license agreement and click install. UiPath will request you to close the Chrome browser in order to install the Chrome plugin. You can now click Launch Studio to continue. Log into the orchestrator. UiPath will now let you choose whether to use UiPath Studio or UiPath Studio X. UiPath Studio X is a preferred option if you don't have any programming experience yet. You can switch between the two at any moment. I will choose UiPath Studio. The last step is to enable the Chrome plugin and you're ready to start automating your own processes. Before we start building the robot that is going to support John, let's build something really simple. Navigate with your mouse to process to start a new project. And we're going to call this process length of my name. Click create. But before we start building our bot, navigate to project in the menu and then open the main.xaml. Go back to activities. And we're going to search here for an input dialog. Pick the input dialog and drag it to the center of the screen. The title is Type Your Name. I'm going to skip the label for now and click on Value Entered. Now press Ctrl K and we'll create a new variable. And I'm going to call this variable My Name. It doesn't really matter how you call the variable, you just use the same variable name in the next step. Press Enter. And then we're going to search for a message box activity, which we can find here. Drag it to the center of the screen below the input dialog. And then we're going to type here, use double quotes, the length of my name is. Now use the plus symbol outside the double quotation marks. My name dot length dot to string. We're taking the length of my name, so that's going to be an integer, and then we're converting that to a string. Then type again the plus symbol, 2 times double quotation marks, and then type characters. Now click outside the message box and you will see that the exclamation mark will disappear. Now let's run a robot. And in order to run a robot, you go to this play button and just click here. Type your name, Thomas, enter. The length of my name is 6 characters. That was really easy. But if you had any problems building this robot, please let us know in the comments so that we can help you. Let's move on with the second robot from today. Let's create a new project. So go to New Project, Process. And we're going to call our robot Employee Onboarding Bot. Click Create. And while UiPath is creating the project, we're going to navigate to RPA-unlimited.com. Navigate to the YouTube example applications and course material. And then click on Thomas and Valentin Employee Onboarding Bot. Open course material. We're going to download the Excel file for this assignment. Open it in the respective folder, copy it, and then we're going to navigate to Documents. And in the Documents folder, you should now have a folder that's called UiPath. And after the project is created, which for me it is, go back to my Documents, UiPath, and now you should see a new folder which is called Employee Onboarding Bot. Click on the folder, and then I'm going to paste the Excel file in this folder. Go back to UiPath. And now you see that we have 3 tabs here. We have Project, Activities, and Snippets. And in this tutorial, we're going to use Project. That's where all of our files are stored. You can hit the refresh icon. And then you should also see the Excel file. And we're going to use the Activities. Before we start, go to the Project tab and click on the main.xaml, because that's where we're going to create our code. Now go to Activities, and that's where we see all our activities that we can use in our respective projects. And we're going to start with a Use Application Browser activity. So search Use App, and then you see this one, Use Application/Browser. And you can use this activity anytime you would like to interact with either a legacy application or a browser. And to use it, drag it to the center of the screen. Now, first of all, UiPath is going to ask which browser window we would like to use. And before we click Indicate Application to Automate, make sure that Chrome or any browser you're using is on top of the Windows hierarchy. Click on Chrome, then go back to UiPath, and then click Indicate Application to Automate. And make sure that you have navigated to the same URL as I did, so that you see this page. And if everything went well, if you installed the browser extension the correct way, if you hover the browser, it should become green. If it becomes orange or red, you have not correctly installed the UiPath extension, which you see here. If it's green, then click to select browser. And you see that UiPath takes a screenshot and that you can now start automating in this window. The second thing we are going to use is an Excel process scope. So search for Excel process, and then we're going to use this one. Drag it into the do box of the Use Chrome browser. And in the Excel process scope, we're going to select Use Excel File. And that's where we're going to tell UiPath which file we are using. So select Use Excel File and drag it into the Excel process scope. The first thing we have to do is indicate which Excel file we would like to use in this activity. So click on the directory icon and then click on New Employees, which is the file that we have just downloaded from rpaunlimited.com. And if everything went well, the exclamation mark should now disappear. And we can move on to our next activity. So what we want to do in this Excel file, we would like to loop through all the records. So you see that we have 10 employees, which we would like to onboard. And we would like to do the same action. And we would like to basically add all those fields for every new employee. So we would like to do it for Carl, and then we would like to do the same steps for Jason, for Michael, etc. And in order to do that, we're going to use an activity in UiPath that's called for each. And you need this one, for each Excel row. Drag it into the do box of the use Excel file. And then it's going to ask us the range that we want to loop through. That's this one. Click on the plus sign. Hover over Excel and then click Sheet 1. And the next thing, which is very important, I'm going to open the file again. And you will notice that this file has headers. So you see here the header, which is basically telling you which data to expect in which column, employee number, name, address, etc. So that's what we call a header. And if you don't enable this box in UiPath has headers, the first employee that we're going to add is going to be called employee number, address, etc. instead of the actual name and actual address, etc. We are going to loop through every employee, and then for every employee, we're going to do a few specific actions. First of all, we would like to type the employee number, and for that we're going to need an activity that we call type into. So select the type into activity and drag it into the do box of the for each Excel row. Make sure again that the application is on top, and I'm just going to remove all employees just to make sure that the screen is a bit cleaner. And then the first data we would like to write to the employee number field. So click on indicate in Chrome. And then we're going to click on this field. Make sure that you click exactly on the field only, so not on the entire field, inclusive the text employee number. Not here, but just this one. Click on it. And UiPath is going to generate a selector, which also includes an answer, which you can see here. So that's basically how it identifies where to find the employee number field. So if everything looks the same, click on confirm. And you go back to UiPath. Now UiPath wants to know what you would like to type into the employee number field. And that's current row. And for the current row, that's employee number. And then we're going to do the same for the name. So take another type into activity and make sure that you put it here in the same hierarchy as the employee number. Click again, indicate in Chrome. And now we're not going to type the employee number, but the name. Process goes the same, click confirm. And then we're going to select here, click on the plus icon, current row, name. Another type into, indicate in Chrome, and now we're going to type the address. Click confirm, click on the plus icon, current row, address. Take another type into activity, drag it to the center, indicate in Chrome. And instead of the address, we're not going to teach the robot how to type the zip code. another type into. And now we're going to teach the robot to type the city. Confirm, current row, and city. Now, our next activity is a bit different because as you can see, for the country, we can't type, so we have to select a country. And the thing that's really important here is that the countries in your Excel file, in your input, have to be exactly the same as the countries in the web application. And that is actually the case here for the countries that I'm using. So you see we have United Kingdom, we have Netherlands, United States of America, Belgium, Germany. So all those countries are called exactly the same in the web application, so we can make a direct match. And we're going to search for the select item. This one, select item. Drag it to below the type into activity for the city. And then click indicate in Chrome. Now we're going to show the bot how to select the country. I'm going to use this select menu. And then again, we have to tell the robot where it has to get the input data from. So go to current row and select country. And in the next step, we have to click on one of the two genders, male or female. So for that, we're also going to use a different input method. We're going to use the mouse. But because we have two options, I'm going to use an if activity. So drag the if activity to below the country. Click on the plus symbol. And we're going to select current row, gender. But we're then going to edit the gender. So go to the plus symbol, open an advanced editor. Current row by field gender dot equals male. So if this person is a male, we're going to click on male. And for that, we're going to select the click action. This one. And drag it to the sequence. So if this person is a male, indicating Chrome, we're going to click on this radio button. Confirm. And if this person is not a male, it's probably going to be a female. So click on show else and select the click. Indicating Chrome. So if this person is not a male, it's a female. And then we're going to click here, of course. Click confirm. Now there are two actions left. So first of all, we have the birthday, and the birthday is a bit more complex because if you go back to the Excel file, you will notice that we don't have a day, a month, and a year, but that we actually have a real birth date, which basically includes the day, the month, and the year that the person when the person was born. The problem is that we have to split them, and you see that those dates are European dates, so they are in the format date, month, year, and we basically have to split them. So in order to get the date, we have to select everything before the first dash, then comes the month, and if we want to get the year, we have to select everything after the second dash, basically. So that's what we're going to do. And for that, I'm going to create an assign activity. Assign. And just make sure that you put it in the right level of hierarchy here. Put it here. And so press Ctrl K, and if you press Ctrl K, you're going to create a new variable. And I'm going to call this variable birth date. And if you go click here on variables, you will see the variables panel with all the different variables. And we have now only created one variable. And the birth date, click again on the plus symbol, current row, birth date. And again, click on open in advanced editor because we're going to change this birth date a bit. So we're now just selecting the birth date from the Excel file. But I would like to split this birthday. So I'm using the split activity. And I'm going to provide one argument, which is a dash, because we want to split this string based on the dash. Click OK, and you will now see an exclamation mark because we are now storing an array in a string. So go back to the variables panel, and we're going to change string to an array of t. And we want to create an array of strings. So click on string, OK. I will see now that the exclamation mark disappears. And that means we can use the different array values created by the birth date. And we are going to do that again with a select item. Select item. Indicating Chrome. And first of all, we're going to start with the day. Confirm. And the day that we would like to use is birth date, but only part 0. So if we split an array, the first element always is 0, the second is 1, etc. So we always start with the 0 instead of the 1. Let's use another select activity. For the month. And the month was the second item. So we are going to use birth date 1. Sorry, I made a typo. Then let's take another select item activity. And now we go for the year. Click confirm. And we're going to use birth date 2, because that's where the year is stored in. Cool. Now there is one more thing to do, and that's creating the email address of this employee. That's something that wasn't done before, and that's also the reason that's not part of this Excel file. What we're going to do, we are basically going to take this value, the name, and then we're going to generate the email address based on the name. What we're going to do is I'm going to replace every space by a dot, and then just add @company.com. So we create an email address for this company. And in order to do that, let's take another assign activity. Drag it to the middle of the screen. And I'm going to call this variable email. Use Ctrl-K. And enter an expression, Ctrl name. And again, let's edit the expression. Dot replace. And I want to replace every space by a dot. And then I'm going to add plus double quotation marks @company.com. So first of all, we are replacing every space by a dot, and then we are adding @company.com. And there is one thing we still have to do, and that's write the email address to the correct field. And for that, I'm going to use a type into it again. Indicating Chrome, and I want to write to the email box, of course. Click confirm, and then type here. Because we are using this value from a variable that we have just created, email. And then the last step, search for the click activity. And we're going to click on the button in order to submit this form. So click Add Customer, confirm. That's the entire bot. And in order to run this bot, so let's test it. I'm just going to close Chrome, so the bot will have to open it again. You can save your bot by the save button here, and then go to debug file and click on run. The bot just finished, but as you can see, there is a problem. You see that some of the fields have been left empty. For example, the gender of Jason, you see the city of Bonnie, and the zip code for Terrell and Rita, the address for Richard, and for one person it even skipped the name. And you see here for Jason it skips the employee number. And this happened because the bot was scrolling and typing at the same time. And this bot was actually physically typing. So the type command went through the BIOS, the basic input-output system of the computer. And there is something we can do about this. By the way, you don't see this in every web application. This happens now and then, and it's really unpredictable when it happens. But there is something we can do about it. So let's go back to UiPath. And if you go to the type into activities, you'll see that there is a field here which is called input mode. And it says same as application, but you can also change it per activity. So let's go back to the use browser activity. Click here. And you see here that the input mode is the Chromium API, and I'm going to change this one to simulate. Now you see that you get a lot of warnings, and if you hover over these warnings, it says the click before typing property is relevant only for the hardware events or Chromium API. For all other modes, it's not taken into consideration. And for some reason, this property, click before typing, you can see it here, has to be configured per activity. So you see now there is a single click. You can also change it to a double click, but we want to change it to none because we cannot click before type if we use a simulate input method. And while I will change all these activities, you will see that the warnings will disappear. So all our warnings disappeared and we have successfully changed the input method to simulate. By the way, this input method is also way faster. It's not only more stable. And let's now check if our bot is still skipping some fields. So I'm going to go back to the web application. I'm going to click on remove all employees and I'm going to start the robot again. So the bot just finalized. Let's go back to the web application. And you see that the bot successfully inserted all the fields. Congratulations, you've just built your first real robot. I hope you enjoy the process of coding with me. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And if you had any challenges by building this robot, also leave them in the comments so that we can support you on the matter.
And at the beginning of this video, I promised you to give away my UiPath cheat sheet, which I'm going to do right now. So if you want to get it, navigate to rpa-unlimited.com/cheatsheet. Fill in your email address and first name and press submit. By filling in your email address, you will also get updates about new RPA tips and tricks. And if you want to keep learning about RPA and UiPath, make sure to subscribe to my channel, Tom's Tech Academy, and I hope to see you there.